Ellie, I'm Terry Martin. I'm one of the leaders of the COIN network, as well as already 2 Indivisible in Jackson County. And we want to welcome you to this meeting tonight. Have you ever been to a COIN meeting before?
I have not.
Do you know anything about us?
Just through my experience with you all as coalition members. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, what we'd like to do tonight is to ask you to talk about your organization, what it is, how it's different from other organizations across the state that are working on these immigration policies, and go into some of the issues and ways that we can support you. So I'll let you introduce yourself, but first you got to tell me how to pronounce your last name.
It's Gluhosky.
It is
It's
Gluhosky. Okay.
Czechoslovakian, so
Ah, okay. I
I'm
was
very
guessing it
Eastern
must be
European.
Eastern European.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
but I wasn't going to take a
Um,
guess, so go right ahead.
Yay. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you all so much for having me this evening. It's really great to be here. I'm Ellie. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the coalition manager for Oregon for All. I do have a little slide deck here, so I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Do you need to be a co-host?
Probably.
I
Yeah,
do believe
let's
so,
do that
yes.
real quick here. There you go.
Thank you. All right. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, I'll get into kind of like more about what Oregon for All is, but I wanted to just kind of start off with providing some statewide and national updates for you all. I mean, I'm sure these days it's really seemingly impossible to escape the news and all the ongoing horrors that are happening across the state, but just want to, yeah, provide some facts of what's been happening over the past few months. So Oregon has experienced alongside, every state in the United States, a drastic increase in detentions in the year of 2025. So this little graphic kind of just shows that like since 2024, we've seen a 320% increase in detentions. This obviously is just going to June of 2024, but we've experienced an even more drastic increase just over the last 2 months. I'm sure, all of you likely were familiar with the threats of the National Guard being deployed to Oregon, but what a lot of folks don't know is even though the National Guard was blocked from being deployed, we, over the past, again, like at the start of October, we received an influx of over 200 Border Patrol and ICE agents to Oregon just to, fuel the Oregon portion of Trump's deportation machine. So, yeah, in the past 2 months, this has increased even more than that. We're seeing, nearly 100 detentions per week right now, which is really, really shocking and a lot to manage. But yeah, just for context, historically, that is, not the typical number. That being said, though, we Oregon still is, in like the bottom portion of the United States. Okay. So yeah, I was just kind of sharing some recent news clippings. So, again, I'm sure some of these are familiar, but they're just speaking to, again, just the increase in targeting of community members across the state. We've seen a lot of activity in different parts of the state, mostly in Washington County, down in Marion counties and Clackamas County. So we've seen a lot of activity in Woodburn, as well as in Salem. Yeah, just going after, day laborers mostly. And some, more prominent community members have been detained that have received more attention in the media. So these are just, yeah, again, kind of capturing the current climate. We have had, a few wins over the past month. We were able to, there was like a situation where we had an Oregon wildland firefighter was detained by ICE, like while actively fighting a fire a couple of months ago. So we were able to work really closely with our partners to get him released. We, of course, having the deployment of the National Guard, as you all know, that was successful. We were able to, in collaboration with our partners at Innovation Law Lab, we were able to block the deployment fully of the national. Yeah, moving into just like kind of what Oregon for All is. So we're a statewide coalition. We have over 100 member organizations based all across the state. Our membership is made up primarily of immigrant justice and immigrant serving organizations, although that's not, exclusively who our membership is. We have organizations who are doing climate justice work, and other just, community-based organizing and community-based work. So we have our membership as broad as possible to ensure that, the work we do is reaching all sectors, and all movements. We officially launched in February of this year, so we are still a really new coalition. We're kind of a reiteration of a coalition that was formed back in 2017 during the first Trump administration called One Oregon. But yeah, this version of the coalition just launched in February. Here's our mission laid out by our steering committee. I can send out these slides later so you all can kind of read through this a bit more. But just wanted to name who is currently on our steering committee. This is our primary leadership and decision-making body. So these are the organizations who have been, here since the start and helped launch this coalition. So ACLU, Innovation Law Lab, the Oregon Food Bank, SEIU, PANO, Oregon Just Transition Alliance, PCOON, Unite Oregon, and PERC, the Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition. PCOON is actually our fiscal sponsor, so that's why I have like a PCOON email address. I'm technically employed by them because they're our fiscal sponsor. Laid out by our steering committee at the start of the year, these are our current strategic priorities. So first and foremost, we're focused on cross-organization coordination, and I'll just add also cross-state organization and coordination. We set out to form kind of a unified front for the immigrant justice movement. That is a statewide network connecting folks all over and doing all different types of work, so that we can, be a body of power that is able to be leveraged the most effectively to protect and defend our communities. So that's been a big priority for us this year. But we've also worked a lot on building out our narrative strategy and doing a lot of communication work as well. So just working on our messaging, working on building out our spokesperson base. We launched, our website and our social media and all that good stuff, as well as we conducted like kind of a mini research campaign back in the summer, and we're planning on doing that hopefully again next year. Right now, of course, I would say the bulk of our work, though, is around rapid response planning, rapid response coordination, doing that both at a local level and also at a statewide level, just because, that is the threat right now. Communities are being attacked blatantly. So, yeah, a bulk of our efforts right now are going into ensuring our rapid response network is functional. We have a number of different subcommittees. That is where kind of the bulk of our work happens. So we have our comms committee, we have a political committee, we have our rapid response committee, an organizing committee, and also a fundraising committee, which is a little bit smaller. We just launched this organizing committee to build out our community organizing and like kind of volunteer organizing arm of our coalition, which we haven't really had capacity for up until now, but that's kind of where, when we're thinking about, what our shared vision setting is for like the next year, the coming years for this coalition, that's really going to come out of the efforts of this organizing subcommittee, just to ensure that, whatever goal we set for ourselves down the road is really coming from the grassroots and coming from community. Just getting into some of like the things we're doing with rapid response, because again, this is the bulk of our work right now, I would say. So we're doing a lot of community preparedness work where we created a standardized KYR slide deck that all coalition members can use. We also did KYR, Know Your Rights, train the trainer events to ensure that, we have a dispersed training model across the state. We've worked really closely with PERC and other organizations to scale up their base. And I'll just say PERC again is the Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition. So they are kind of like the main organization that we are working with that's doing statewide rapid response, as far as like they run the hotline and do a lot of our mobilization of migrant watchers and ICE verifiers. So we work really closely with them to just scale up their training efforts and increase their base of verifiers. Based on their name, as you can kind of tell, they used to be Portland specific, but they've scaled up to be actually a statewide resource for folks, which has taken a lot of work, but is, yeah, where we're at right now, which is really great. We're using our resource or our website as a resource hub. So I definitely encourage folks to check out the Oregon for All website. It has like a number of different really essential resources and toolkits and things all community preparedness to just ensure, yeah, people are prepared for the unfortunate or unlikely event of an ice incident. Yeah, getting into more like dispatch and mobilization. So again, we've worked really closely with the hotline. They're the pillar of our dispatch system. We're helping them staff up. We're also working really closely with the ECHO network, which ECHO is the Equity Corps of Oregon. They are offering statewide universal legal representation. So this is a program that is unique to Oregon and is incredible. It is like, it has been kind of like the cornerstone of how we have been able to get legal services to folks who are being detained as quickly as possible. And it's helped us actually, get many releases of folks from detention before they've been transferred up to the Tacoma Detention Center. So ECHO is an amazing program. We work really closely with them, along with the organization, the Clear Clinic, which is a Portland-based immigration legal firm, and they work really closely with PERC as well, and with our rapid response networks. Kind of like the main apparatus of Oregon for All's rapid response work is our regional lead network. So we have, I think, about 19 organizations that are based across the state. These organizations are all, very historically rooted in community, have deep ties to community, and also are doing some sort of rapid response work. So either they're really embedded in community preparedness efforts, like giving trainings, or they are actually actively responding and mobilizing their local base of verifiers. This was really important for us to build out this model because, as we know, rapid response is hyper local. It is like neighborhood dependent. So trying to do that work on a statewide level without having that like local component or having those organizations who can act kind of as a connector to their local region and the broader network just wasn't really feasible. So we really have invested a lot in building out this regional lead network so that we can both support the hyperlocality of rapid response work while also still ensuring that we have a statewide network that folks can plug into. So here are kind of like the list of our organizations. So I definitely encourage folks to, based wherever you are, based in the state, to just understand who your regional lead organization is. All of these organizations are doing and have done just like really incredible work for some of these organizations decades. But they are working so hard right now to respond to this current moment. So yeah, have just like really, really great trust in all of these organizations. And yeah, again, it's if you are wherever you are based in the state, it could be helpful to connect to one of these organizations because they are the bridge between their local rapid response networks. Again, I can like make sure you all get these slides so that you can look at this list a little bit more later. Just some ways for how folks can get involved. I think the biggest ask right now, which I'm sure folks are probably familiar with this, I know Indivisible is, working really hard to scale up MigrantWatch verifiers as well. So I'm sure some folks have already been trained as MigrantWatchers, but if you have not, that is kind of the main ask right now is just building up our base of ICE verifiers, specifically through PERC. They are offering every month 2 different MigrantWatch trainings, one in person and one virtual. Once you take that training, you can get just kind of like looped into PERC's statewide mobilization platform so that if there is ICE in your area and someone has reported that to the hotline, PERC will then send out like a mass text to everyone who has been trained in that locality to actually deploy to go document and observe that incident. So again, this is like really kind of the core of our work. It's essential that we have eyes on these incidents and that we are actually documenting so that, if we need to like fight for someone in court to get them released, we have evidence on our side. I would recommend following Perk on Instagram. That's where they've been like, listing most of their upcoming trainings. But COIN obviously is a coalition member, so you all will have access to that information as well if you don't do social media. Just some things to, again, this is just general advice, just because we are seeing ice all over the state. So it's helpful to know if you have not taken a Migrowatch training, if you haven't had an experience with ice, to just have kind of like your bases covered a little bit. In the instant that does happen in your neighborhood at some point, you can be prepared. So I would say first and foremost, obviously, like seeing ice, seeing someone detained, there's like nothing that can really prepare you for an experience like that. It's like extremely destabilizing. So it is really important, as an observer, to ensure that you are doing what you need to do to remain somewhat calm in that moment. That is like first and foremost the thing to take care of. But second to that, and equally as important, is to call Perk. So wherever you are in the state, if you see ice in your community, if someone, your neighbor or a friend is like, hey, I think there's ice on my block, like this is who your first call should be, to the Perk hotline. So if you don't have this number in your phone, I recommend, just having this on hand. Folks should just have this, so that no time is wasted if there is an incident that you need to report quickly. And then here, this clear is kind of like the guidance for how to report. So when you're calling Perk, this is kind of some really helpful information that you can provide to them to ensure, again, that they can just like quickly mobilize and they have all the facts. So we advise folks to use the acronym CLEAR, which is count, location, equipment, activity, and report. So count is just, how many officers are there, where are they, the location, what are they wearing? So this can be helpful in identifying like whether it is actually ICE or if it's, Border Patrol, or if it's even like just local law enforcement. That can help a lot. Activities. So if you feel comfortable, ensuring they're asking for their identification badge, and then what they're actually doing. Are they like actively detaining someone, or are they just, pestering someone, asking them for an ID? Are they like banging on a door? Yeah, that sort of reporting is helpful. And then, of course, the time and date is also helpful. This information is also on our social media and also on our website as well, if folks want to reference that later. And then here's just some advice on actually how to film. Again, I'm prefacing all of this by saying this is not a substitute for like taking an ICE verification training. That is really essential, and you get way more in depth on kind of like how to film, what you should expect, that sort of thing. But again, this is just like bases covered. You will know what to do if this like happens in an emergency situation and you are the only one there to document. This is kind of just some advice on what actually to film in that instance. And again, this graphic is on our website, as well as like a whole page dedicated just on how to film ICE. So I recommend checking that out if you have the time. If there are people in your community, or if you yourself are an immigrant, here are some really important steps on how to actually keep your family safe and prepare ahead of time. So again, reporting all ICE activity to the hotline. But yes, if you are an immigrant, or if you know someone who is an immigrant, these are kind of like the main things we're asking folks to do. First and foremost, we're asking folks to pre-enroll in ECHO. So here is the number for the ECHO hotline. It's weekly. They're open like 5 days a week, I think. And they can enroll folks ahead of time. And this is really essential because, again, if someone is detained, if they're already enrolled in the ECHO program, it's easier to locate them and easier to get them connected to legal assistance quickly. You should also give 3 trusted family members at least some of these like very essential personal information. And again, the purpose of this is so that if this person or you are detained, we can find you really quickly, because we'll have this information, if we do not have full name, date of birth, country of origin, a number, and your echo status, it can be like nearly impossible to locate someone in the detention scene, especially if they have been transported up to Tacoma. So it's really essential that, someone close to you has this information so that we can find you in the system. All of this and more is available in our family preparedness packet, which is on our website. And it was created by the Latino Network in partnership with the Oregon Law Center. And it just is very extensive. It has for immigrant families, all of the information you can need on, how to transfer power of attorney, how to transfer guardianship, all of the ins and outs of everything you need to do and think about. In preparing for a possible detainment. So as I was saying, the Latino Network created this Protect Your Family toolkit there, and right now they're currently offering Train the Trainers on how organizations and individuals can actually provide family preparedness trainings to community. So if folks on this call are interested in maybe playing that role in your community, if an individual group is interested in playing that role, this is essential right now. This is how we are helping families get prepared and take care of themselves. And, preparation is really our first line of defense. So if folks in their local groups do have capacity to take something like this on, there's an upcoming training on the 1st and 2nd for folks to just learn how to actually walk families through this toolkit and actually help them fill it out. And this is also, the toolkit itself is online on our website as well, so you can take a look at it. Another big lift we're doing right now is, there is this whole after a detention happens, what happens to the family thing. It's this massive need of families are often left in the lurch if a primary breadwinner is detained and need food assistance, cash assistance, rental assistance, and we've been attempting to figure out, how we can do that work and at a statewide level. But again, a lot of it relies on mutual aid and different things, which is hyper local. So for now, this is what we're really leaning into. The Oregon Worker Relief Fund, which folks might have been already familiar with. This was a fund that was created during COVID for immigrant families being financially impacted by COVID. So it's being relaunched as a financial assistance for families who are experiencing ICE enforcement situations or who have family members who have been detained. So we are doing a massive fundraising and donation effort right now to ensure that this fund is well funded. So if you have the capacity or if you have, groups in your region who you think could provide some financial assistance to this is a huge effort and is really essential for helping families just regain some stability after the wake of a detainment. Okay, I'm almost done. Thank you for your time. Here are just, again, some just key, important, you should know these contacts. We got the PERC hotline here at the top. This WISN hotline, this is the rapid response hotline for Washington. So, if folks are, commuting up to Washington or in Washington a lot, it's good to have that number as well. Here's the ECHO hotline number, also really important. I didn't really go into sanctuary law too much, but as some of you hopefully know, Oregon is a sanctuary state, which means that ICE is not permitted to collaborate with any state entities, so they cannot collaborate or interfere with local law enforcement and vice versa, as well as schools, school districts, and anything else that is federal or state funded. So in order to keep that law accountable, there actually is a violation hotline through the Department of Justice. And this is also really essential for us just, being able to track if ICE is being sneaky or if local law enforcement is being sneaky and collaborating with ICE. It's really essential for those violations to be reported. They also have a website. You can just go to the DOJ website and report online as well. Here's just a snapshot of our website, but I encourage folks to check that out. there's, yeah, so many different resources on there. And if there are local individual groups on this call who are interested in joining the coalition, there's an option to do that as well at the top. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm happy to like answer any questions or yeah, hear any thoughts from you all. But yeah, thank you so much.
That's amazing work, really. It looks like you're a giant umbrella over everything. I was trying to figure out what role you guys played, and it seems really clear that you're kind of over the top of everything, organizing, right? One question I have is are we ready for this at this point? I mean, in some ways, I look, we're in Southern Oregon, in Jackson County, and it's not reached here yet. And there's a lot of anxiety, I'll say here, because we feel like it's coming and we don't know if we're ready. Did you feel like we were ready on the state level, Ellie?
No, definitely not. I mean, we did a lot of work, and like I said, organizations have been dedicating, decades of work to preparing community for this, but what we are seeing right now is absolutely unprecedented. And it is really scary. So I feel that that anticipation. And yeah, I know we have not seen too much activity in Southern Oregon, which is good. But we do also know that just in our monitoring of their activity at the McAdam ICE office and in Eugene, we have heard that, yeah, they have an intention to spread out more in the state. So, we saw last week they were out in like Hood River and the Dalles, which is pretty unusual. They were out on the coast, of course. We've had all that stuff go on. So yeah, I think that's why I go back to like preparedness being kind of our most important effort right now is just ensuring that our community members know their rights. They are prepared, they have their families prepared for what happens if they see ICE, and people who are not immigrants, allies, know what to do. If they see ICE, they know how to report, they know how to connect to local organizations who are already coordinating rapid response. All of those preparation efforts are really like absolutely essential right now. That is like how we're protecting folks right now. But it is really scary. It's a lot.
It is. It is. And everybody I talked to, I mean, I went by, I was on the way to one of our events and there was a woman sitting in a van and there were like two people wearing like SWAT type clothing. They're police with vests and bright things. And then I'm thinking, do I turn the car around? Do I go back? Is it happening? I mean, I just almost started hyperventilating when I saw it because oh my God, here it is. And then I didn't feel I was prepared at the time. And so, I mean, I just feel like everybody wants to do something and to help. So it looks like to me that what the best thing to do is for everybody to get trained, right? Sign up for the trainings. And I was in one on Wednesday. I went ahead and went through one on last Wednesday night after witnessing that. And they seemed to say that their next online one was going to be December 4th, was what they mentioned at the end of that training. So if everybody can mark their calendar for that and then watch them on Instagram, you should be able to find a place to sign up for that. They did say that the week before they cap out at 1,000 for their Zoom, and they had 2,000 people show up, so they had to do 1,000 that week. They did 800 the next week with the one I was in, and then they did I think 600 or 700 on Saturday just a few days later. So a lot of people are getting the message, but we need to spread that out even further. So it sounds like in addition to that, there's ways to donate to both you and to local organizations, right?
Yeah.
And,
Oh, go ahead.
and then volunteering. It seems to me those are the three levels at this point.
Yes. Yeah, I would say, yeah, going to the Oregon Worker Relief website, which I see that comment in the chat. We did like over the last couple of weeks, we had like an issue with the mobile version of the Oregon Worker Relief website, and like the donation link was not popping up, but that should be fixed now. So yeah, if folks like have the resources to donate, I definitely think focusing on the Oregon Worker Relief Fund is the best way to use those funds. But the Oregon for All website can receive donations as well. And then, yeah, going back to like volunteering, Oregon for All is kind of, again, as I was mentioning, building out our capacity to be like volunteer coordinators. But right now, we're still really relying on just our membership organizations doing that work, and especially our regional leads. So going back to just based on where you are in the state, identifying who your closest or who your regional lead organization would be, and then connecting directly with them and offering support to them is is going to be the way to be helpful. Mhm.
Is there a place for people who don't speak Spanish?
Yes. I mean, volunteer, there's different ways to volunteer, especially for rapid response. I mean, if you are a Watch verifier, if you're an ICE verifier, you do not need to speak Spanish to play that role. Similarly, you can work in partnership with folks who do speak Spanish to provide like the family preparedness trainings and KYR trainings there. Yeah, you can also, based on, I didn't really go into this, but I know some folks like on the coast are doing, they're organizing, like accompaniment sort of deals where folks are actually like transporting community members to their appointments or to the grocery store and just like acting as like a buddy system. You could also do like food distribution, like ensuring that folks are getting their groceries if they're not feeling safe to leave their house. Definitely lots of ways to plug in if you're not a Spanish speaker as well.
Wonderful. We do have a question in the chat on your position on whistle brigades.
Yeah, I don't think Oregon for All has an official position on that. I know we have certainly seen, the whistle brigades be very effective in other places like in Chicago. I was actually at earlier today the PERC Resource Center, which is in Portland by the McAdam Ice Facility, and they're starting to distribute little whistle packets. So yeah, I think it's shown to be an effective tool for getting ice out of community. I think again, I would just caution folks, we are seeing ICE just become aggressively violent in their responses to community members, to legal observers, to ICE verifiers. So just, ensuring that you are prepared before you're entering a situation where you're confronting ICE, and then, obviously maintaining your First Amendment right to obviously, film and document ICE and blow your whistle, but once you start directly confronting ICE, you get into some gray territory. So just some gray legal territory. So just, everyone should use the tactics they feel most aligned with, but just, yeah, making sure you are doing a risk assessment before entering those types of situations.
Okay. Another question in the chat is how many rapid response volunteers who have taken a class are in Multnomah County? Do you have any idea?
I don't have an exact number. I mean, as you were mentioning, PERC is training like thousands of people every month. So, yeah, in Multnomah County, especially, there's a huge base of legal observers and ICE verifiers. Yeah, it's a lot. That's all I can say, which is great. We need a lot of people.
Yeah, the more the merrier, right?
hmm
Okay, and then we have an ice facility down here, for example, in Medford, and we've had people learning how to watch that so that they can report to, to the rest of us if there is activity or advanced activity there or something like that. So there's another kind of an area there where you should be trained, but at the same time, if there are at least in other communities, there are places you can go to just be a watch person to
Yeah.
watch the facilities. Did you have anything to do with the detention facility over in Newport? Did you guys play a role in that at all in the fight against that?
I mean, we've been keeping tabs on it. We are working really closely with the organizations based on the coast. So our regional leads on the coast are Conexión Fénix and Consejo Hispano. Conexión Fénix is based in Lincoln City, but they've been doing a lot of work with the Newport developments. But we also work with Arco Iris and Centro de Ayuda, which is also both based in and directly in Newport. So, we've been providing them some support as far as like helping them with their comms and just, yeah, being like just thought partners on how to just go about that unprecedented situation. But it's really, those local organizers who, organized the big turnout at the city council meeting last week. They had like 800 people show up to a city council meeting, which is
Amazing.
crazy for Newport. But yeah, we're definitely monitoring that situation. It has been a really difficult situation to kind of get any real like what is happening here because ICE is being shady and all that. But yeah, we are in close contact with the folks in Newport who are working on organizing against that.
Right, and we had a meeting last week and talked a little bit about what happens if they propose it down here. So we felt that we should start training ourselves and getting ready in case the same thing happens down here. We don't want to be caught flat-footed. And so we're hoping other communities are taking that seriously as well, because there is no detention center in Oregon, and they want to put one here. We just don't know where. So, I mean, we can all watch what's happening in Tillamook, but at this point, we all need to be prepared that it could happen to any of us, tomorrow.
Yeah. I think, yeah, right now, they seem to be, as far as our intel goes, scouting the coast. So that's why, Newport was identified as a potential target because, yeah, as someone mentioned in the chat, they actually moved their Coast Guard helicopter out of the base, which is really concerning because it's the start of, crabbing season, and it's really essential they have their Coast Guard fully staffed there. And they also started just, yeah, posting like job postings, which was concerning. A lot of that has been taken down, but we do know even if Newport is not the location, they are actively scouting other sites, especially on the coast. We have not seen like active attempts to, seriously consider other parts of the state, but the coast seems to be kind of the most probable location right now, which, yeah, is really, really concerning. Because, yeah, as you mentioned, we in Oregon do not have an actual detention center, which is to our benefit because it takes ICE a minute to actually transfer people out of the state to the detention center. So that, like, you know, I mean, they've started to do it more quickly, but that, like, between 5 and 12 hours while folks who have been detained are still in Oregon is really like when our rapid response legal services are being mobilized to ensure that folks are getting legal assistance before they're detained and transferred to Tacoma. So if we had an actual detention center in Oregon, that would obviously kind of destroy that whole system. We'd really have to think through, yeah, just all of our efforts. So we don't want to get there, but yeah, we are monitoring that as a potentiality, unfortunately.
I'm assuming if you had any intel that was happening someplace else, you would let organizations know, I would assume, right?
Definitely, yeah, we're distributing that information throughout our coalition as well. Yeah, yeah, of course. Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like we're playing like, six-dimensional chess right now. It just feels like
Yeah, you're telling me. Yeah,
I
it is
feel
a
like
lot.
somebody was sneaking up behind me that, I didn't see him at this point. I just feel like I just feel like we're not prepared, but at the same time, we're doing everything we can. And I was
Yeah.
wondering about like, have other organizations in like Chicago or um, wherever else this is happening, kind of come up with a playbook of how what they've done that's been successful? Have you guys are talking to people in those organizations or those locations as well to see what they've learned?
Yeah, yeah, we are in contact with some folks in Chicago, and also we have a lot of strong connections with folks down in like Los Angeles. And we were learning a lot from them, just how they were combating like the National Guard deployment when we thought that was going to be a real a definite thing that was happening in Oregon. So we do have those out of state connections, which has been really helpful. And yeah, I mean, similar to here, I think it's a lot of testing things out and seeing what's working. Again, we are just seeing like really unprecedented levels of ICE being active and violent and emboldened in community. But I do think, yeah, something that has where folks are, trying out in Oregon that was taken directly like from Chicago and other places is the whistle brigades, but also like the patrolling. So we have a lot of our local rapid responders have instituted like patrolling schedules. So folks who are actually just like, this has been a big thing actually down like in Woodburn where we've seen a lot of activity. They have a whole patrol schedule of folks like going out in the morning at starting at 5 a.m. to just drive around town and see if ICE is around. So that's been something that's been helping. And then, yeah, just I think going back to the preparation, we continue to see like the best form of defense is just ensuring that we have broad know your rights information across community, that people know to remain silent, to not open their door unless there is a judicial warrant. Yeah, just doing that like mass canvassing effort to community to just ensure folks like know their basic rights. That continues to be kind of our most effective strategy for protecting folks from detainment. But yeah, again, we are definitely in in a moment of trying to strategize and figure out what experiment and do new things. I mean, right now, again, we really are focused on observing ICE and gathering that information, but there is this bigger question of, what happens after that? Is there a way we can like modify our efforts to actually intervene and stop a detention from happening rather than just documenting? I mean, people are still experimenting with that, and it's going to be a long road. We are building the plane as we are flying it, I would say.
Exactly. And I was talking to a group today. They were asking what they could do, and I was saying, if you work in a school district, or you have kids in a school district, you should probably ask the school board and find out what is going to be their policy if ICE shows up. You should know what the policies are. For example, at schools, at like the university here in town. I mean, the hospital. I mean, you kind of want to know if you, especially if you work in those places or you have people in those places, it would be a good idea for you to at least approach a board of some kind and say, what is your policy going to be? So we know they've thought it out and that we put them on record at this point as to what they plan to do or plan not to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different levels here. A
Yeah.
couple more questions in the chat. Do you know if PERC has a list of ICE vehicle license plates in the Portland area?
Yeah, we are actively tracking that. We have a database that's not public, but that is an effort we are doing. So similar to what you were, I think, saying about down in Southern Oregon, there is like a whole operation at the Portland McAdam office to have, folks just out, like volunteers tracking and outside of that building most days. And part of like the volunteer role of that is documenting like the vehicles that are coming in and out of the building and documenting the license plates so we can compile our database. Yeah, I see some more questions about plates. It definitely is like not unprecedented to see ICE vehicles who do not have plates, but I would say a majority of them still do. So it is again important to document that, but ICE is really getting creative in their tactics as well. So, saying all of this with a grain of salt of this is what we know right now. This could change next week, but as of right now, most ICE vehicles still have license plates.
Okay. And there's a question, are you looking at anything that can help hold federal agents accountable for their criminal activity?
Yeah, that's another good question. Because yeah, again, we are definitely seeing just like the lawlessness of ICE agents and community just completely disregarding any local, especially like, road laws. We're seeing, yeah, really like erratic driving and dangerous driving, and pursuance of legal observers and ICE verifiers. So one of our efforts right now is actually working really closely with the governor's office to ask her office to just kind of like put some leverage on, yeah, the Oregon State Police to just ensure that, it's a very fine line, it's a very fine balance because we do not want ICE, we do not want local law enforcement to be interfering with and collaborating with ICE at all because of our sanctuary law, but we also don't necessarily want local law enforcement to be completely turning a blind eye, especially when ICE is being so lawless and violent in community. So yeah, that's an ongoing thing. We're trying to figure out, yeah, how to combat that. And right now, our tactic is going through the governor's office. So hopefully that we'll be able to like leverage some power, if we can get her on our side with that. But yeah, that's a big concern for
Every
sure.
time I see them bust out a window, it just blows my mind at this point. And watching them, this bat or baton busting somebody's car window is like, really? I mean,
Yeah, it's really
that's a
horrible.
that's a bigger, question for some national organization to take on as to, how can they do that? Why can they do that?
Yeah, we do work as I mentioned earlier, one of our steering committee members is the ACLU of Oregon, so we obviously work really closely with them, and they have their whole like kind of human rights violation program. So if you are an ICE verifier out in the field and like something like that happens to you, where yeah, something clearly like illegal and infringement on your rights takes place while you are exercising just your basic rights, like filming, we do have a form that people can fill out through the ACLU website and get connected to support for something like that. But yeah, as people are mentioning in the chat, ICE is getting really, really violent. We're also doing a big effort right now, just in partnership with PERC and with people who are giving Migrant Watch trainings. We're having to really modify those trainings a lot to just ensure we are helping prepare ICE verifiers and legal observers for a potentially violent interaction with ICE, which I know is like scary, but is unfortunately just kind of our reality. We had a verifier down in Woodburn get like kind of severely threatened by an officer the other day. And yeah, so we're doing kind of a big overhaul of our materials and doing some know your rights on like how to actually like proceed if like ICE is threatening you, either verbally or with a weapon, and like what you can do in that situation. So we're working on that. But yeah, I don't want that to like deter folks from doing this training and participating. This really is a moment to lean into courage, and lean into bravery, especially again if you are not yourself an actual target of detainment. This is really a moment to lean into some bravery. But obviously, saying all of that with you should always conduct a risk assessment for yourself. And if you do not feel comfortable and you don't feel ready for that, that is totally fine. It's more important to know that about yourself than get into a situation where you pushed yourself too far and then now you're more a hindrance than a help in a situation. So a level of, leaning into bravery and also just being honest with yourself about what you're capable of and what you feel ready for.
Exactly. One last question there. It says how many sheriffs in Oregon are participating with ICE. It should be zero.
It should be zero, yes.
Should be zero.
Unfortunately, we did see, which folks might have, been tracking this, but a few months ago, back, I think time is like blurring for me, but I think back like towards the beginning of the summer, we saw a lawsuit down in Marion County where Marion County basically like opened a lawsuit to they wanted to get clarification on what sanctuary law like meant for the county, which was kind of like a sneaky way to open the door for like the sanctuary policy to be attacked in that area. And we did see a number of sheriffs across the state sign on in support of that lawsuit. I'm trying to remember the only ones. It was like I think it was like 11 or 12 sheriff's departments signed on. So the ones who did not, I know Multnomah County did not sign on, and I think Washington County didn't sign on as well. But yeah, so that is concerning. And, back before we were seeing this insane increase of ICE activity, we were shifting to kind of gear up for a massive kind of like defending our sanctuary campaign. We will likely still make some of those efforts, and we're working on that a little bit into the next year. But we've had to, divert a lot of resources to focus on rapid response. But yeah, 34 sheriffs. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, which is massively concerning because again, sanctuary law is one of our biggest assets in Oregon, and is why our detentions have remained somewhat low, is because they cannot collaborate with local law enforcement, which is not the case in a lot of places. So defending our sanctuary law is a really essential effort. And if we continue to see violations, we will definitely prioritize that in the coming months.
We had a situation down here in July where they did a cannabis bust, I think, in 4
Mm.
locations. And the sheriffs were there, but they had ICE with them when they went. And so there's been a real question as to whether that was actually collaboration or not. I'm not sure if anybody has turned that into whichever organization needs to be looking at it. But there was a story, both OPB had the first story and then The Intercept had one after that. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's
think,
very,
yeah, I
very,
remember that. We've seen other like kind of sneaky things of, ICE being outside county jails and the jail like releasing people from jail basically directly into the custody of ICE, which is not a technical collaboration, but clearly there was coordination happening there. That is a really common one we're seeing. Not common, not like that's happening all the time, but we have seen that a few times. And yeah, we've seen similar like if there is like a bigger like FBI raid of some sort, like there's a weird like gray area of collaborating with having ICE there as well. So we saw that in Southern Oregon, and I think we also saw that in Eugene, I believe too. Yeah.
I wanted to add, Terry, that and to everyone, anytime you see any collaboration, reported to the Attorney General's office. There's a website, and it's pretty easy to find. But if you go to the AG's office website, there is a way to report any violation of the sanctuary law. So that is where it should go directly. So they pursue it.
Yeah.
I'll have to find out if somebody's done that for that particular case, because I remember that day because people were calling, my phone was blowing up as people saying there's stuff happening, there's a bus there, there's extra cars, there's all these things, and we don't know what's going on, and so it was very, very confusing day. A lot of people witnessed one protester, or one activist was arrested for standing in front of the bus, and things like that. And I think there were 19 people, 17 or 19 people that were deported that day from those cannabis busts. So, I mean, it did have real consequences. And so, but that was one of the things that made me feel like we're not ready for this. I mean, my own gut reaction was we're not ready for this. And everybody else's confusion at the time made it very clear to me that we have some work to do. So I'm hoping everybody is paying attention here, and is going to get at least trained as soon as possible. That December 4th training, like I said, they can take 1,000 people. So if you haven't been trained yet, watch the Instagram feed, sign up for it, and get trained as soon as you can. Connect with the organizations in your communities that are doing the work underneath the umbrella of Oregon for All, and somehow spend some time volunteering somewhere. So step up, put your hand up, and say, "Hey, how can I help?" And I know the people in Indivisible care a lot about this state. That's why we do the work. So, Ellie, is there anything else we can do to support you in this fight before we sign off for the night?
No, I think we covered it. I want folks, the main takeaway, if you take anything away from today, is having like the perk number and putting that in your phone. That is like, I would say, my number one takeaway from today. But yeah, I really appreciate you all having me and being willing to, think through some of these like really, really scary times. We have to do it. But I recognize it is a lot. It really is a lot. So thank you all for just, continuing to show up and inviting me to come speak with you all.
Appreciate your patience with our tech problems
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, that was no
That was
problem.
exciting. Didn't mean to start the meeting off with quite so much excitement, but it was recorded. We'll make sure that the people that didn't come back will be sure to see it. And we will stay in touch with you, and feel free to please call us at any time if you have something going on or whatever and you need our support. We have a lot of people, like I said, we have a lot of groups across the state that are here for you and can be activated at any time.